Welcome to Savvy Business, Life Unscripted, with your host, Christina Rivera, where our guests share their wisdom and valuable business tips, empowering our audience to expand their personal potential.
All right, we are recording. Again, just say your name and the name of your business.
I am Jevonya Allen. I am the founder of Twisted Networking, and I'm also the founder of Jevonya, the Professional Problem Solver.
Hi, Jevonya Allen. Welcome to Savvy Broadcasting, Life Unscripted. I am so grateful to have you here today. We're going to be helping people get over the fear of networking, how to become a master business networker as an introvert. I never considered myself an introvert, actually. I always was pretty much out there in corporate America, but it's a whole different animal when you open up a business and you have to get out there and for the first time ever, not only sell a product that belongs to a company, but you sell yourself in essence. And that made me all of a sudden seem like an introvert. It was really, really hard for me. But you're going to share your best tips and strategies there. But before we go there, just share a little bit about your backstory with our audience.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Christina, for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So I was born in Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I was raised in Providence, Rhode Island. And during the pandemic, I moved to North Carolina to help my parents get into retirement. We moved to this really, really little country town. I loved being there with my parents, but 2 months ago, I decided to move to Mexico. So I am currently here with my 18-year-old son, Christopher. I have two other children. I was a foster mom, and I've adopted three wonderful young men. They're 18, 20, and 22 right now. I started Twisted Networking back in 2017 as a way to help me build another business that I was working on. I wrote my book, The Introvert's Guide to Becoming a Master Networker, last year during the pandemic, because I knew there were other people out there like me who needed help mastering this art of networking. And networking is very, very scary, especially coming from a background in daycare. So yeah, that's what I did. I decided to write this book and to be able to teach other people who are selling a product or a service how to become better at networking so that they can make more money. Because money comes from people, Christina.
That's right. I love that you say that, because I think people forget, I got to go make this money. I got to go get and they're not realizing these are real people who have real problems and you're here to help them. And at the end of the day, you get paid for it. Exactly. It's not magic. But, tell me, were you always an introvert yourself? Did you feel you were always an introvert?
Yes. And I honestly believe that you are born an introvert. That is your natural disposition. Today, I consider myself an ambivert because I can live in both worlds. I've trained myself because we grow up in an extroverted society. And so I've trained myself to be able to do certain extroverted things. But by nature, I'm a loner. I love to be alone. I came to Mexico alone. I can go to the movies alone. I can do anything alone. And I'm perfectly okay with that. And so I didn't realize what it meant until I started business. Growing up in life, you really think something's wrong with you. Society has you think, you're so quiet, or how come you're not assertive? How come you don't raise your hand to answer everything? But we just internalize things differently. And so I didn't realize what it was. I didn't put a label on it until I had started my first business.
Yeah. And, when it comes to business, and I mentioned some of my fears for it, like in high school, I had no problem speaking up, or, I was called on, I didn't feel uncomfortable about it. I as easily like to be by myself as with a group. But when I opened a business, it was completely different. All of a sudden, I was scared to talk to people. I was like, oh my gosh, what are they going to, and all this stuff running through my head. What are they going to think? And are they going to think I'm valued enough at what I'm presenting? So what have you found has been some of the ways to break the ice in this and move forward and, not be scared of putting yourself out there?
Definitely. So the first chapter in my book is entitled Personal Development. I found that reading books on leadership, understanding who I am as an introvert, watching YouTube videos, just delving into who I am as a person and the value I bring to society, it was so helpful. It helped me to just open up this other area inside me where I accepted it. I owned being an introvert, and I actually love it now. And I love to tell people, yes, I'm an introvert who has created a networking organization. You're like, how does that happen? But because I understand now what it is to be an introvert and how I show up in the world and how I connect to other people, it makes it so much easier to go out there and market myself. Because like you said, business is about who you are, and people, they buy because they know, like, and trust you.
Yeah. Yeah. They have to feel that connection and that you really have their best interest at heart. I think it's interesting. I talk to a lot of people and they might have a phenomenal product, service, or information, but they're so busy with trying to push it forward. Like I think I told you before we got started with this interview, I used to host or maybe I didn't tell you, it was the last guest, but I used to host this New York networking business event every month in Manhattan. And everyone, a great many people would come in, immediately slam their cards into people's hands. I'm like, stop. This place is really for us building connections and sharing information openly with each other. No card passing around.
At all.
Let's get to know each other. And some of them felt stilted, like, hey, but that's how I network. I'm like, but it's not networking. You're just slamming your card in someone's hand. So how do you begin to really make those connections where I'm here to help, but know where to find the people you can help?
Awesome. And I just want to backtrack because I think there's a big difference in the sales and marketing. People don't understand how to differentiate the two. Yeah. So they're just all about sell. They don't understand that you have to market before you sell.
Yeah. Let's break it down. What is the difference between the two for someone who might be not sure?
So sales is, you are a quality lead. You are someone who I'm going to sell a product or service to. But marketing, you have to market before you get to the sale. Mm-hmm. And so I have to know you and like you and trust you before I buy from you. And so people don't understand, just passing out your business card, you've already turned me off.
Yeah.
You've already turned me off from the possibility of a sale. So instead of doing that, come and introduce yourself to someone. Put the business card away. Say, hey, Christina, tell me a little bit about who you are. Tell me about your life. Now you like me.
Yeah.
And then the chances are, and everybody's not a quality lead for you. Everybody is not a client for you. So you have to market a little bit more before you get to the sales. And so networking events, absolutely love them. Remember my first networking event, it was a nightmare. I tell the story in my book about, walking into this room and just hyperventilating. I had to leave. I swear it was a full-fledged panic attack because you're in this room with a bunch of strangers, people you don't know what to expect. You're not trained on what to do at one of these events, but networking events is the best place to find your people.
Yeah.
The best place. But you have to have a strategy. You have to know what to do when you get there. You have to know what to do before you get there, and you have to know what to do after. And those are some of the things I talk about in my book.
That is so imperative. Yeah, instead of just carpet bombing the place, like and everyone's like, people are like, whoa, down.
Slow down.
Yeah, I like what you said there about really, really just connecting with people as people. One thing is, when I get to know people, and this is part of the way I get to know people here on podcasting, is that you really get to know what are people about, how are they helping people, and who are they as individuals. Because everyone wants to be heard, and they don't just want you just trying to say, well, stop talking so I can just sell my thing to you. Yeah, so I can talk. It's like, let me hear really. And really, when you get to know people, like you said, not everyone is a good match. I remember the hardest thing for me when we first started doing advertising on Savvy was turning down people when they wanted to advertise. But I just knew who our audience was not going to mesh with whatever they were selling. And why just take their money? So I said, no. I know a couple other podcasts are in the fashion arena. That'll be perfect for your upcoming line. You're selling fashion. But being willing, because when you help them out and you're truthful and say, hey, I'm not your best person here to help you get your word out, they'll be like, oh, great. I know someone who I'm going to send to your podcast because you were honest with me and you didn't just try to take my money.
Exactly. Yeah. The relationship is everything. I really come from the personal and then the business. A lot of people do it the opposite way. And so I think I need to get to know you as a person first, because networking to me is not just about selling a product or service. From networking, I met a gentleman who taught my sons how to tie a Windsor knot. And to
Ooh.
me, that was a beautiful, beautiful experience. It was something that I could not teach them.
Yeah.
And this was a person that I met from business networking. So I think we have to reframe what networking actually means. It's not just about pushing your product or service. It's to help you grow both personally and professionally.
Absolutely, Jevonya. In fact, a perfect example for that, we went to a business event, my husband and I, several years ago in Philadelphia. We flew out there because he's a pilot. We flew out there and people were so impressed because they were having it near the airport and they had heard we flew in with our small aircraft. And they're like, oh my gosh, that's amazing. Well, one of the guys at the table had taken some flying lessons, but didn't get to continue them, but was a huge fan of flying. And so my husband and him, we were like, blah, 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 blah. And then of course his wife is totally awesome. And so we became friends. And so it became a wonderful, deep relationship that we still have today that has nothing to do with business. I mean, they've come on the show and because they both have their own business, but it's just become a wonderful friendship.
Yeah. And you see how it actually kind of tied into business because you were able to share that story with me.
Yeah.
So it comes full circle.
Yeah. I mean, business, and this is the amazing thing. It's not separate. Who we are as humans or our person, it doesn't separate from business. It's the same thing. It's just maybe we put on a slightly different, what do you call it? Hats or whatever, but we're still the same people at the end of the day.
Definitely. There's one saying that I really value. It says, how you do anything is how you do everything.
Yes.
And so if you're awesome at home as a mom, you're going to be awesome in the business arena. But if you're terrible at home as a mom,
yeah,
it's going to be really hard in the business arena as well. So personal development.
Yeah. And that is so important. I think it all starts with what I'm getting from you is really understanding yourself. Understand thyself first in order to help others. You can't begin to help others unless, for one, you understand yourself. What value do I have to present or give the world? My skills, my talents, my gifts. And then getting clear on that. Now you have a place to start. And then I've heard people say, okay, I know I'm good at XYZ, cutting hair or blah, blah, blah. Where do I go from that? Well, now you got a starting point. You know what your skills and talents are. Now you can go from there. When I started, I knew I was good at connecting and talking to people. But, I said, how the heck do you make living out of talking to people? And someone said to me, have you met Oprah?
There you go.
Yeah, I mean, she makes a living out of it. So there are ways to make a living or do what you're good at and present it to the world in a way that the market needs it. But first you have to get clear on what it is.
Exactly. And that's a process, that's a process. Coming from a background in daycare and then managing a group home for autistic kids. I've done every job under the sun, just about waitress, whatever. But to get to a point where I understood that I'm good at relationships. I've always been great at relationships, but I didn't know that was valuable. Did not understand how valuable that is. And a lot of people are not good at relationships. And so one of my goals with my book is to teach people how to be good at relationships. And it translates, like we mentioned, at home too. It will trickle back to your family life, your business life, your relationships with other people, but you have to get clear on who you are and appreciate and value who you are first. It's kind of like thinking about your husband being a pilot. They say what? Put your mask on first before you can help.
Yeah, I know. You're dead and you're trying.
What can you do for someone else if you haven't, gotten yourself together? But to help other people get in tune with themselves so that they can do better for society.
Yeah. Now, Jevonya, I'm curious, all the different things you did, you said, I did waitressing, I did this, I did that. Do you find at the end of the day that all of those different things you did kind of helped hone your greatest gifts and talents?
Yeah. I've always been in the service industry. I've learned. I've been into serving people and helping people and making people feel good and empathizing with people. And so that has brought me to this place. And I use it in business. I still use it on a daily basis. I do ministry. I use those skills in ministry with my sons. Raising other people's children is extremely challenging. But learning those skills, working in a group home for autistic children is a challenging role.
Oh, yeah.
but I was there for a reason. My youngest son has challenges, and so all of those things that we go through in life set us up for the future.
Yeah.
But we just have to find the lesson, because there's a lesson in all of those experiences. In the book, I talk about when I was 12 years old, my first job was I was actually working at the Boys and Girls Club in South Providence, Rhode Island. Mm-hmm. And we took the children to Brown University to go swimming. And I could not swim, but that was my job, to take the kids swimming. And the children, there were 2 diving boards. There was a 6-foot diving board and a 12-foot diving board. And the pool was 18 feet deep. And these kids were just jumping off this diving board. And something in my head said, yeah, you should jump too.
Wow.
And you can't swim, Jevonya, but I did. And that story has served me into life, because that's how I live my life. I just jump into things.
So how did it work out though? Because I can't swim either. So how did you get to the surface?
So what happened was, before I jumped, I talked to some of the other workers and I said, I want to jump, but I can't swim. So can you wait in the pool for me? So I utilized my network.
You're like, come back up, Jevonya.
So I went to the 12-foot one, Christina, the 12 feet, and I jumped. And I'm like, but they were there. They were there to save me, and they pulled me out. And, that has become the story of my life. At that time, you don't understand. It doesn't really mean anything, but here we are 30 years later, and it means everything.
Wow. So. It really, really does. Because that jumping off without nets, being like, sometimes in life, you just have to jump and stop waiting. Like I have one gal for years, her greatest passion and gift to give the world is the sharing of nutrition and fitness and whatever. And she's like, oh, but I don't want to take money for that, because, that's just selfish of me, because, make people pay me for that. I'm like, are you kidding me? You know how many people could use what you have to give? Yes. But it's that, let me read a couple more books on business. And sometimes what you really have to do is just jump.
Just
be okay with making some mistakes. You're gonna. It comes with the territory.
And I swear I died that day, Christina. I swear I died.
Well, Jevonya, this has been awesome. We could go on for hours. I'm so blessed that you came to share with us today. Where can people get a copy of your book, find out more about you? Where can they do all of that?
If you go to Jevonya.com, Jevonya.com, you can get the hard copy of my book, The Introvert's Guide to Becoming a Master Networker. You can also get the ebook. You can see some of the other things that I'm up to. I'm on all social media platforms, so check me out, follow me, like me, say hello. I answer all my messages personally, because I just love to connect with people. And Christina, it's just been a pleasure being here with you. Thank you.
It's been an absolute pleasure. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm so grateful we met. Let's stay in touch. And thank you for coming to Savvy Broadcasting.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Christina.
Like, subscribe, and share this episode. To listen to more savvy episodes and savvy biz tips, go to www.lifeunscriptedradio.com. To find out about our paid sponsorship opportunities or how to become a guest, email Christina at lifeunscriptedradio.com.